A striped hyena was born through captive breeding at a zoological park. What is captive breeding? Why were striped hyenas kept under captive breeding? Why captive breeding is not a viable option as far as wildlife conservation is concerned? What are the challenges being faced by captively bred animals? GS Paper 3, Conservation. What is the context about? Indira Gandhi Zoological Park announced the successful captive breeding of striped hyenas, a first in its history. This comes after 2 consecutive failures, when the 2 previous litters did not survive. Hyenas are any mammals of the family Hyenidae. It is the 5th smallest biological family in the Carnivora, and one of the smallest in the class Mammalia. Why were striped hyenas kept under captive breeding? Striped hyenas were commonly found in the wild and bushy semi-arid pastoral lands of India, Central Asia, North and East Africa, West Asia and Turkey till 2 decades ago. In India, they were mercilessly hunted down over the years for foraging into graves due to lack of a food source in their habitat. It is now just 1 step away from being endangered, 2 steps away from being critically endangered, and 3 from being extinct in the wild going by the IUCN Red List published in 2016. Thus, to rescue it from being extinct, striped hyenas were kept under captive breeding. What is captive breeding? Captive breeding means that members of a wild species are captured, then bred and raised in a special facility under the care of wildlife biologists and other experts. When a population drops dangerously, captive breeding can boost numbers. Captive-produced young can sometimes be released into the wild where populations have diminished or disappeared, yet where suitable habitat remains to support them. Captive breeding programs facilitate biodiversity and may save species from extinction. Release programs have the potential for diluting genetic diversity and fitness. Why captive breeding is not a viable option as far as wildlife conservation is concerned? The ex situ breeding is not a viable option for wildlife conservation. The gene pool of animals which are captive bred become less diverse, reducing the chances of survival of their species. It also takes a long time for an outside-the-site captive bred animal to adjust to the wild. The soft introduction itself might not suit the animals, and there is over a 50% chance that they will not make it in the wild. Inbreeding may lead to decreased disease immunity and phenotypic abnormalities. With the possibility of inbreeding, populations may undergo genetic drift, where genes have the potential to disappear completely by pressuring the remaining population and their predators. What are the challenges being faced by captively bred animals? Captive breeding can contribute to behavioral problems in animals that are subsequently released, because they are unable to hunt or forage for food, leading to starvation, possibly because the young animals spent the critical learning period in captivity. Released animals often do not avoid predators and are not able to find ample shelter for themselves and may die. Another challenge with captive breeding is the habitat loss that occurs while they are in captivity being bred. This may make release of the species non-viable if there is no habitat left to support larger populations. Captive breeding may affect mating preferences, and has implications for the success of a reintroduction program.